Hello, everyone. We're finally committing to doing a tier list for once. We've been talking about doing a modded one for a while, but for now, we're going to start off simple. Right now, we're going to be doing it of all the different Halo games. I figured this would be a fun way to send off the year a little bit with some of the other stuff. Because we still got a campaign going on, but I wanted to have like a little highlight video that's a bit more relaxed. Caleb's here with me too, so
Just
we're,
hanging out, kind of.
pretty much. We're just going to go in order from CE all the way through as it's shown on the list here. But let's get started. So, I'm pretty partial to CE, to be honest. It definitely deserves one of the higher tiers, I think. And as you guys can see, we have the best Halos, top of the line, good, okay, bad. There's only one that I'm personally thinking is going to go in the bottom, but we'll get to that. But where do you think CE goes? I'm split between one of the best versus top of the line.
I'd say it's top of the line.
That's kind
So,
of how I'm feeling.
my reasoning for it is mostly that it's out of all the games, it's definitely the one that shows its age the most.
Yeah, it definitely feels dated, even with the
Like coming from
remaster.
someone who we've played this game so much recently, it definitely shows its years.
It does. It's still fun to play. I will never say it's a bad game, but it shows the development of its time and the style where a lot of the levels are like super linear and the kind of the illusion that their open world has kind of disappeared at this point, at least. Still a great game though. Moving on to that, we will get into Halo Reach. I want to put it at the very top, honestly. I will say we are including every aspect of these games, by the way. Multiplayer, campaign, all that.
Simply like the story of it, like the feel of it, like is like the gritty kind of like you always hear like in the games and stuff how humanity is losing the war. But Halo Reach for me was like always the game that I love. Like out of all the games I've played, the three I'm gonna put like at the top of the list. This might be controversial to you. It's Halo Reach, Halo 3, and ODST.
The only one I disagree with is ODST.
Simply because like it has like that gritty, like boots on the ground, like you were in the fight kind of feel to it. Because like Halo 3 out of all the games, it had the most where like you're fighting alongside of a lot of like friendly Marines. Like it feel like it just has that feeling of like you're in the end game. Like it's everybody's putting in their final efforts. Like this is the end of the war. Halo Reach has like the gritty, like middle of the war, like you can tell humanity's losing.
It
And
definitely gives that
ODST
feel.
is ODST.
Yeah, it's just the Marine version of the same idea, I'd say. It so the reason I'm kind of partial right now with it is I really, really, really want to put Halo Reach at the very top, but I don't think I can. And the reason is because when it comes to a lot of the games, it's technically still a side game. It's a prequel, right? And I can't sit here and deny that the game was very iffy for a lot of people on its release. Some people love the game. I love it. But some people really didn't at all. A lot of people hated armor abilities. They hated the introduction of sprint and all that. And a lot of people believe it's one of the things that ruined the game. Same with a lot of the weapon changes. But I think I'm going to probably agree with you on this and put it at the very top, even though that might bother people. But I love Halo Reach. The Forge was one of the best of the games. It took a lot of the things I loved about Halo 3 and just made them way better, in my opinion. Some of the armor abilities I didn't like, but nothing's perfect. I loved all the vehicles. I still miss the Falcon. Wish that would have came back in other
Yeah.
games, but it never did. I loved a lot of the weapons. The needle rifle is still one of my favorite additions in Halo, and we never see it anymore. Still pisses me off. DMR was pretty
Really, like
cool.
for me, being like the lore nerd that I am when it comes to Halo, just the story, like not even getting like into any of like the quote unquote inconsistencies in the lore and stuff. I don't like the lore around it still makes sense to me, but like overall the story of the game was fan fucking tastic.
It was. I can't sit here and act like it doesn't. it reinforced the whole meaningless struggle kind of feel to it,
Like
as
the
you
whole
do these
tagline, like
massive destruction.
the whole tagline from like the marketing campaigns of like from the beginning, you know the end. Like the opening cutscene is the character like the easiest way to describe it for me is like the first thing you do with like Halo games like in the modern age is you immediately go to the character customization. You immediately make that character yours. Like Halo Reach was like the first game to where like it really opened up. So like when I first got the game, I was immediately like looking through like, oh, I can buy all this, I can get all this, and like getting that kind of stuff, making the character mine. And then after spending all that time making this character, the first cutscene is the helmet you've been staring at this entire time, broken in a field of fire. Immediately, you know this isn't going to be like your average Halo story.
It
Like you know stuff's going to
Yeah,
go down.
it reinforces the very depressing feel that this is not a battle you're going to win. You aren't winning here. You already know how this story ends, so to speak.
I mean, like besides the books, we had never at this point, like in the game, seen a Spartan die. And throughout the story, they are going out like lemmings, pretty much.
Not to mention the mission Last Stand, like the final mission of the game. There's dead Spartans everywhere,
But you were in a field
littered.
of them.
Yeah, to say the least. Like, you start the game with the knowledge that you're replacing a dead Spartan. Then you go in and watch George sacrifice himself to completely devastate one of the biggest Covenant ships we've ever seen, only for multiple more of the same ship and hundreds of other ships to show up. Effectively meaning
But
his sacrifice was for nothing.
and the thing is, like I know how like earlier you said like Reach is like ODST is like the Reach, the Marine version of Reach. Like the thing is though, like with ODST, like you're used to seeing Spartan, like Marines, like ODST die. But the fact like you're playing as Spartans who for all the games you're used to them being like invulnerable super soldiers, to watch them die in such human ways, like it was a gut punch when I first played the game.
Yeah, a lot of it was curveballs that you never expected, and to say the least, it was one of the best ways Bungie could have ended off their production of the Halo games. I think they did an amazing job. Forge was fantastic. Some of the best custom games I ever played was in Halo Reach. My favorite multiplayer setup was Reach, where everyone had their own custom Spartans, and the creation was so intricate. And my favorite part, you didn't have to spend money for any of it. You just
No,
played the game and got currency, and you could unlock whatever the hell you wanted. That was the best part of that. But we'll get to why that ends up bothering me later when we get to a certain game over here. But that's later. Anyway, Halo 2. I'm sticking this in the top. This is my first Halo game. I'm biased.
I would disagree with that.
I'm very biased. I have a curse that I never play a game series in order. I always start with the second one. It's never by choice. That's just how it happens. Halo 2 was my very first Halo. I grew up with Halo 2. I almost want to put it above Halo Reach, personally, when it comes to my love for this game. And it's not
I mean,
just like
it
it's.
was the
I
game that
love this
really
game.
like it was the game that really made Halo Halo. Like it was the game that caused Halo to blow up.
Like Halo's Combat Evolve set the stage for Halo to become whatever it wanted. It was a game that was a shot in the dark that ended up going amazingly well. Halo 2 took everything great about Combat Evolved and just made it all better in my eyes. Plus, they boosted the multiplayer. I mean, let's be honest, it's what put Xbox on the radar. It made it a competitor to PlayStation at that point. Without Halo, Xbox never would have happened to the level it
No,
is today, for better or worse. Halo 2 is a phenomenal game. It had some of the best gameplay, in my opinion, with dual wielding, rocket launchers, the weapons. You cannot convince me that there are so many badass cutscenes in that. And it's the first Halo we got to play as an elite, and the only Halo we really get to play as an elite on their own campaign,
yeah.
mind you. I have a very hard time hearing anyone convince me it's a bad game or does not deserve that spot. You can't convince me of it, and I will die on that hill. It is one of the best Halos. There's only one other Halo game I could put above it. And we're about to talk about it. Halo 3. This is the only Halo I consider better than Halo 2. Halo 3 once again did just about the same thing Halo 2 did to Combat Evolved. Took everything good about it, made it better, in my opinion anyway. I loved Halo 3. I will say I'm a little iffy with the multiplayer for Halo 2 cuz I wasn't old enough. I didn't really get to play it.
I love the multiplayer for Halo 2.
I just didn't get to play it. I wasn't old enough. You're a bit older, you
Like
had the chance. I didn't. It sucks. It pisses me off to
like
this
I was a
day.
little kid when Halo 2 first came out, and like it was my first like real multiplayer game. Yeah, I played the shit out of it with my uncle because like he was like the. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on the channel before. But he was like the cool uncle. Like he had like all the latest games and everything. Like I'd go to his house and hang out for like the day because he like lived right next door. So like Halo 2, I played the shit out of it with him, and it was like my first multiplayer game. And it's just I have a lot of fond memories of that game.
I love Halo 2, and I grew up with it as my main game to play. I played the hell out of the campaign. I explored a lot of the multiplayer maps by myself because I just simply didn't get to play the multiplayer. Halo 3 was my first experience with true multiplayer other than Modern Warfare 2. That's its own can of worms. We're going to leave that part alone. But Halo 3 was the first time I actually played the multiplayer of it. I first experienced custom games. I first experienced co op campaign. Well, I did later because for those of you guys who don't know, on the 360, they sold those without actual inbuilt hard drives. And for some reason in Halo 3, you couldn't play multiplayer without one. So I actually had to wait like a year to get an Xbox that had one. Gotta love Microsoft and their weird deals anyway. But when it comes to Halo 3, it's still my favorite Halo of all time. It's the only thing for me that can beat Halo 2. I loved that game. Like, Halo 3 was a perfect trilogy send off. It did everything right, in my opinion, except for when it killed Johnson. Still pissed about it.
I I will say Halo 3, out of all the campaigns, it does like compared to like the later campaigns and stuff, it does feel like in the modern day really short to me.
Like lengthwise, I guess.
Yeah,
I can
because
kind of see that.
like after the Earth parts, it goes like immediately like it feels like it ends like at 2 missions.
I kind of get
Not
that. The only, I mean, if I'm being really honest, the main criticism I can give Halo 3 is there's a certain mission in that game that I dread anytime I play the campaign. I don't think I need to say the name. I think everyone watching knows what I'm talking about. Nobody liked playing the mission Cortana. Nobody. That mission
it's
sucks.
just it's a very tedious mission and it's very easy to get lost in.
It's annoying. It's tedious. And frankly, I like fighting the Flood, but not when I'm getting attacked at every angle. I do not need a Flood tentacle, a Flood whip, and a Flood cannon in 3 different directions like it's some BDSM party. Sorry, I'm good. I ain't into it.
Kneel before Slanesh.
No, die, perish. The Flood is. Look, the mission Cortana is if you mixed Nurgle and Slanesh into one and gave them a house, okay? That thing is not fun. It is a bad time. It probably doesn't help that they didn't include some of the cut content they were planning with, like the infected arbiters. That would have made it way cooler if there was actually like boss battles with those. So maybe that's why the mission's so bad because it feels rushed.
Yeah.
It's literally just hallways of flood, and then you
When
get to the end. That's it.
if you know the backstory to Cortana, like how the mission itself was made, like a lot of it was like it was completely changed because like originally it was supposed to be part two of Floodgate. So like the portion to where we go into the Covenant ship was supposed to be a lot longer, and it got cut,
I
and
see.
it later on became Cortana.
I see. See, I didn't know that. You should learn something new about Halo every day. But no, Halo 3 right now, this one's staying right here at the top of the list for me. There's nothing past it. But moving on, this is where we're probably going to get some arguments. Because I'll be honest, with Halo 3 ODST, it's going in the good category to me.
I definitely think
It's
it's
good
at least top of the line.
because I know you want to put it at the very top. I know you do. I can't justify doing that because the game is effectively not even really a game. It was a DLC technically. That they made a standalone game that was effectively just firefight in a campaign.
I mean, the storyline you got to admit though is top of the line.
It's enjoyable, sure, but compared to games like Halo Reach, like I said, it just feels like the watered down version of a superior option. But to be fair, it
Well, to
did
be
come
fair,
before Halo Reach. So they didn't have the knowledge. So I'll put it this way, Halo 3 ODST walked so Halo Reach could run, if I'm being fair.
like we wouldn't have like the ground, like the gritty, grounded tone that Halo Reach had. I mean, if it wasn't for ODST.
And I won't deny that. Like you said, ODST walked so Reach could run. I won't deny that for a second because ODST is definitely enjoyable. But let's be honest here. If we're talking about the whole of the game and not just the story, you can't really stack it up to the same level as Combat Evolved, which is what it would be on the same level as. You see what I mean? Because comparing,
Fair.
sure, we were given Firefight, but it was a very primitive form of Firefight.
I mean, the thing is though, like now that you brought that up, like a lot of the stuff for ODST is it walks so the other games can run,
But that doesn't
and
mean it's even.
I don't know.
That's why I'm saying, like, I will fully agree it goes in good. But I cannot reasonably justify putting it on the same level as Combat Evolved. I just can't. Because it didn't have Forge. It didn't have its own custom games. All it added was an extra, like, it got charged full price for a brand new game like another Halo, but all it added was a campaign and firefight. I just can't sit here and act like that's forgivable. Because, again, was it a good campaign? Absolutely. I am not denying that. But it lacked a lot of the polish and benefits of its later titles. And it's effectively a DLC. I just can't justify putting it in anything higher. It's a great game, but it ain't as good as CE. Be on the same level as it. See what I mean?
Yeah, we're sure we can't like make like we can't nudge it like right next to CE, like just a
Look,
little bit
I'll put
below
it
it.
below it, okay? It'll be below it on the same level. How about that? You're stubborn about it, so I'll let it go with this one. Okay.
I mean, it's just
I'll,
it
I'll,
gave us a lot of the what we had like enjoyed
I'll
today, like a lot
concede
of
it
games.
just because, yeah, it walked so a lot of later titles could run. Halo ODST laid the groundwork for Halo Reach to be what it was, so I can't deny that. So I will concede that. So now we're getting into one that I personally want to put in okay, which is Halo 4. I
Yeah, I can agree with that.
like I almost want to put it in good because I didn't hate the game. Like I'm not like most people who really just like hated it on release. I just
Like the story was amazing. It's just a lot of the gameplay.
it didn't feel like Halo. I won't deny
No,
that for a second. The Forerunner enemies were very annoying. You can't
they
convince me
made the
they weren't. They
entire
were
game
cancer.
a slog to fight.
It was awful. The game felt long. If you've ever, like, I don't know about you guys, if you've ever done a full legendary playthrough of every Halo, when it came to difficulty, Halo 2 still probably up there as the worst one other than Halo 5. If you've never played Halo 5 on legendary, don't do it. I regretted every second of it.
Oh, it
But
so
we'll leave
there
that story for a minute. It's a
there
long
used to
one.
be there used to be another Caleb like that we played with. Not the one we currently play with. This is for some reason we collect Caleb's like
Yeah, yes,
crazy.
we do. I'm building an army of Caleb's, okay? Don't worry about it, guys.
But this other Caleb and me, like from the moment we met, we never really got along.
Yeah.
And Halo 5 Legendary nearly made me go across state lines to kill him.
Let's just say we had a different group of people we played with, and to say we were all livid by the end of the third mission would be an understatement.
Yeah, because it was one of those games where like the way the like it worked in multiplayer is like if one person like died, it was game over. Like you had to restart a checkpoint.
No, that was Halo 2. It didn't do that in Halo 5.
No, it did on Legendary, remember?
I don't remember it. Well, maybe it did. I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been a long while. It's so long of a while, I'm never going back to it. I got that achievement,
Yeah.
I'm never going back. You can't make me. But in simple terms, not to get too far off track, Halo 2 is probably the second hardest one to me. Halo 5 is the hardest. Halo 4 is probably the third hardest on Legendary, from my experience. I played all of these on Legendary, except Infinite. Can't really judge Infinite yet. Haven't done it. I might do it someday, but really not something I'm trying to do.
And they have co-op now. We could do it.
Yeah, that might be down the road. That might be something we do at some point. We'll see. But Halo 4, I want to put it in good because, to be honest, I love the multiplayer. I know I'm probably lower on. I'm probably like in argument with most people, but I still had a lot of fun with its custom games, its Forge, and its multiplayer. Domination, their version with the bases and stuff, was one of the coolest modes ever to me. I loved it. And I hate that we never got to see it anymore because the game just wasn't that popular. Would you concede it being in good?
I could see it being good, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't really like. I kind of was aggravated with like the Call of Dutyization of like the game.
And I agree with that. That's
Like,
why I can't put it higher than that.
but like other than that, like I loved the story. Like it was one of those things where like 343 was setting up a potentially very good story, and it's just the later games they pissed it away.
Yeah. It's something they screwed up pretty bad.
Because I mean, it set Chief up to be like in a new world where the war that he's fought his entire life
I mean, they grew his
is over.
character.
Yeah,
Like his war was
his
over that he
war
originally
was
did.
over. Everybody he could consider really a friend was for the most part dead, like Johnson, Cortana. As for all he knew, Halsey and Blue Team and all of them were dead. He was alone, and it had such amazing potential. And I will get later into this when it comes to Halo Infinite, but I mean, it had so much potential there, and just in the later games, they just did nothing with it.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely an awkward one because I mean, Halo 4 has so many things. Like it has good things and bad things, and to me, it's probably the closest thing to like a universal mid ground of the Halo games for me that I could justify.
like before we like what we got like in the modern day, like it definitely felt like growing pains from 343, and it had like yeah, it was iffy at places, but you kind of still felt like there was a lot of potential to be had. And it's just later games, 343 just lost any potential, and it's just it
Trust me,
just it
we're getting to that part. Don't
yeah.
worry, we'll get to it shortly. I guess I'll put my final thoughts for Halo 4 before we move on because let's be honest, it's not going to be very positive for the next two options. Halo 4 is what I would describe as a mix of good things and bad things that definitely deserves the middle tier of everything for Halo, I think. It did a lot of good things. It had a lot of potential to grow the series in a good way, but the lack of focusing on what made Halo Halo from 343 is what held it back a lot. It committed way too much to the Call of Duty feel. It changed a lot of stuff. The sound, like a lot of times when you shot guns and hit enemies in that game, it just felt wrong, I guess. It didn't feel the same as it did in the older games. The enemies sounded different and like not in a good way either. It just there's a reason I have a hard time going back to Halo 4. Multiplayer I can still play just fine. I loved it.
Yeah.
But the campaign, it always feels like a slog. But That's why it's in mid tier. Only makes sense. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm throwing Halo 5 in bad.
Yeah.
It's going right in the shit box. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the only one I can really justify being at the very bottom. I was one of the people who was super hyped about the release of Halo 5 with the advertisement campaign, Find the Truth. I thought the concept was so freaking cool. I
Let
was
me put it this
also
way.
terrified of what the story was going to lead to.
Let me put it this way. If they had stuck with the Hunt the Truth and like the overall like hunt down the Master Chief campaign, what they did for marketing, if that was what we had got for Halo 5, oh my god, that would have been a good game. Because I mean that would have been intriguing. Like the chief is going rogue, like setting up Oni as a potential enemy. Like the amount of potential there.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. I got to rant about this for a second. Okay, look, Halo 5 was an absolute shit show. The game advertised it as this amazing Oni anti-chief campaign thing where you had to fight Locke and kick his ass. Because let's be honest, there was no other ending where that would have made sense. You're not gonna justify me that this some wannabe assassin for Oni who's now a Spartan 4 is gonna be Master fucking Chief. You can't justify that to me that you were gonna body his ass every day of the week. Uh, the game released as a giant pile of fucking garbage. I'm not, and I'm judging these games for their entire lifespan, not just release. Halo 5 was bad. I mean, really bad. The game released as a mess. It had multiplayer with 2 game modes, no Forge, no co op, no theater, and the campaign. And let me be honest with you, it was the shittiest setup ever with the whole revival mechanic and shit. What the fuck were they thinking? Like,
Like everything they did for campaign, like I said,
awful. Just awful.
when we played Legendary, like it nearly wanted me to commit murder
Like, it
because
was
of that.
so
Like,
bad. The Warden Eternal was the most boring fucking boss in the world, by the way.
and the fact
Fighting
that you had to
3
fight
of them
them,
later was stupid as fuck.
and like the fact that you were fighting them pretty much every campaign mission, it kind of ruined like the
And
luster of
like,
fighting him.
justify me. Why the fuck were the majority of the missions playing the guy everyone wanted dead, who was supposedly gonna kill Chief? Like, are you kidding me? It's Halo. I want to play as Chief. Like, Arbiter I can accept because Arbiter's pretty fucking cool. But Locke is just this wannabe assassin loser who's a sellout to Oni. Like, come on.
Like there is so much room to where like they could have had like the potential of making like an interesting beginning
Why
to
the
where like,
fuck? Like, why the fuck was Blue Team even there? Like, the whole other like characters added nothing to the story. Like, they had a small moment where like Fred could have actually had like a whole back and forth with Chief where he's like, "You're gone too far. This is too extreme. You need to stop." And actually had a fight moment. But no, he just pussed out like the moment Chief just gave him a look. Like, come on, man. Like, why were they there? They added zero content to the
well,
story.
even the same can be said for like Osiris. Like, yeah, it's neat to have Buck back, but
What did he do?
I
Fuck
yeah,
all. He was just there. Like, come on,
it's just
man.
I mean the story is just so forgettable.
No, I'll
And
tell you what's memorable about it is the shittiest fucking cutscene fight of my life. Locke versus Chief. Bro, it was garbage. I don't care if this has been said a million times. It was ass, bro. I don't even do animation, and I could have made a better fight than that. I could load up SFM myself and figure out how to do it, for God's sakes. Or Filmmaker with freaking Team Fortress, and I could have made a better fight than that. Like, come on. You're telling me they had millions of dollars in advertisement and one of the like the best companies in the world with funding, and that's what they made? Come on, man. Like, what happened? Yeah, to say the least, I really, really hate Halo 5 Guardians.
well,
It
and
was
also another
bad.
thing is it's the game to where see the beginning of what 343 would be infamous for when it came to Halo, being immediately dropping storylines like the next game.
Like, the storyline had a great start, and then they just ruined it. Then the gameplay was bad. Like, I don't know. I feel like I have to say something nice about the game. Like, I kind of like some of the new armor. It had the most armor options out of any Halo, and you could get them all for free, even though you had to do the stupid ass loot packs. Hard to
Like it's
get. You
just
could get one every day just for logging in. It
it's
wasn't
just
that bad, but
there were a lot of like just overall like bad or like annoying design issues when it came to Halo 5, at least for me. Because like Halo 5 was like one of the first games when it comes to Halo that I just didn't play that much of. Like Halo Reach, I played like religiously.
I was like 3 ranks off from max, if I remember correctly, on 360. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I've calmed down now. I got it out of my system. To put it bluntly, Halo 5 was really bad. If I had to say some good about it, I mean, when the Forge finally came out, we got some really cool custom games, I guess. I didn't play much of them. They added some of the really cool mechanics where you can mess with the weapons and make your own, like, weird variants in custom games. That was kind of cool. Uh,
It's just like that's another thing for me is like it was also like the first sign that like 343 just wouldn't release like full games whenever they released a game.
like,
Like it
come
would
on.
always
Like,
be
we had to wait, like, what? Like a year and a half to get Forge or something?
like I think it was like a year, yeah. And it was the same thing for Infinite.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, it took everything I liked about Halo 4 and shat all over it, and then they tried to like backtrack into something else and made it like way more competitive focused, and just confirmed to me that 343 had no idea why people liked Halo. Is what it confirmed to me. Like, it was just a massive disaster. Like, for God's sake, the arcade games that I never played were better games than that. Like, I
Well,
don't know.
it's the same issue like a lot of modern games have is where it's just everything's too competitive.
Gotta have all this hyper competitivity. It's all super reaction based, high speed action. It's just like, I just don't play that shit, man. I don't like that shit. It's not
It's just
fun.
Halo used to be one of those games that catered to
It
everyone.
was a casual player game that had a competitive mode. And that's what it was supposed to be. It was meant to be for those guys who just got off school or work and just wanted to sit down and have fun. And that's what Halo was until that one came out. And then it's just got fucked up beyond recognition. So let's move on to Halo Infinite. You tell me what tier you think it goes into.
I'm gonna say okay,
Why?
surprisingly. Like
What makes it okay compared to Halo 5?
just overall, like it does go back to form a little bit with older Halo games. Like, hold on, let me pause the game real quick. So it does go back to some form of the older like games, not nearly as much as it should. Like I played a lot more of the multiplayer than you did, and like I will say, yes, they definitely went more egregious when it comes to like monetization stuff. Like to some point, like to where at some points I'll say it is excessive,
Bro, it's Spartan
but
Dress
like
Up Simulator.
pretty much, yeah. But like the story is yet another one of the wipe the slate clean kind of stories to where everything in the previous game was deemed just irrelevant. But it does give us a bunch of good moments of like more of what I wanted from Halo 4 of Chief being more like like humanly relatable. But it did I felt in ways it did better in like overall than Halo 5. Like yeah, it's still like it's not the multiplayer isn't as bad as it was in Halo 5. It
Oh,
definitely
it was
feels like a
worse.
middle ground.
I'm gonna be honest, I think it was worse. Uh, Tell you what, I'm gonna break my version of what I thought of it in pieces. I'm gonna separate it by mode type. because if I don't, it's just gonna all be bad. Um, I'll start with campaign. Uh, the pilot and chief and the weapons story. It was fine. I didn't really have a problem with it. The weapon is basically just New Tana, and that's what I call her is New Tana. It's literally Cortana, but just like a 5-year-old instead of what we had before when it comes to age at this point. Um, the pilot I didn't have any really issues with. He was kind of funny. His interactions with Chief are probably how most of us would react given the situation. So I can't really blame him. He's not really a dedicated pilot or anything. He was just a mechanic, and the dude's doing way more than I think most people would given that situation. Uh, the overall story arc was fine, I guess. The gameplay was better than 5, I will agree. It was definitely more fun than Halo 4. I won't act like I didn't have fun playing the game. However, uh, the boss fights were just kind of there. They didn't really feel like boss fights more than just here was a special enemy with a health bar. Kind of was just more annoying than anything to me. Uh, let's talk about vehicles. The vehicles felt like they were made of paper mache the entire time in the
Oh
campaign.
yeah, 100%. I'll agree with that.
It was annoying as shit. Uh, the Marines really didn't feel like I was with Marines all the time. They just felt like some random schmucks they grabbed off the street and said a bunch of stupid internet lines or like generic. Like they didn't even feel like I was with Marines. It just I don't know. In the older games, I felt like the Marines were kind of relatable or at least kind of funny. You know, like they felt more like people. But with that, it was just generic lines in every movie ever in Halo Infinite for the Marines. You know, the enemies definitely looked better than they had in Halo 4 and 5 when it came to looking more like they're
They
from
look
Halo.
more, yeah, looking more like
But
the classic style.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard anyone say this opinion other than me, and I'm gonna say it here. To me, all the enemies looked like they were straight out of Mega Bloks. I don't
I
know if
will agree with that
anyone else
100%.
has seen that to them, but like if you've seen, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up real quick just for reference. You guys can see what I mean. Like these guys look like Mega Bloks. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like if I look at any of these images, this is what Halo looked like in Infinite to me. Is like these guys. This is what I saw every time I saw an enemy. Is this right here? Like anytime I encountered him, like right there, that's what I see, just in higher resolution. That's all I'm seeing. Every time I get on the game, I don't see Halo. I see like upscaled Lego characters. I don't know if anyone else seen it like that, but that was how it was for me. I just couldn't help it. To me, it always looks that way. Like I mean, hey, there's a perfect one. There's literally like Decimus, basically. That's what half the enemies looked like to me. Is this right here? Hold on. Yeah, there we go. That right there. That right there is every enemy in freaking Halo Wars, basically in Infinite, in that exact look right there. Perfect. So the enemies definitely looked better, but I wouldn't say they looked good. We all saw the meme about the brute. I don't think anyone
Yeah,
hasn't. We all know the brute. One of my biggest criticisms of Halo Infinite is almost none of the weapons were from previous Halos. Like almost none of them. All of them were brand new, and frankly, I didn't like most of them. I didn't like the shock rifle. I didn't like the shock pistol. Uh, I've never really cared for the commando. It just felt like a more annoying version of the DMR or battle rifle. Uh, I didn't really like. I didn't like the weird harpoon explosive gun the brutes used. I get they were trying to go for the more brutish feel, but like, where's the brute shot? I would have rather had that. It's the same thing, just better. I don't know. All the weapons just felt wrong to me, and the fact that most of the brute vehicles were effectively just here's the Covenant vehicle but red, and then like the occasional chopper. Like I don't remember seeing prowlers in the game, do you?
They weren't in the game.
Yeah. So like Halo 3 did the whole brute theme thing way better than Infinite ever did. So I just don't know. Like I get they're supposed to be the banished and like more brutish theme, but to be honest, it just felt like it was the Covenant, but red with spikes. It just felt like the Covenant, but edgy. If I'm being honest with you, I just didn't like it. I kind of like that we could fight elites again. I guess
Yeah.
that was cool. Um, but when it comes to story, where the hell is everybody? Like, I'm sorry, you can't just retcon everything from the last two games and just sweep it under the rug and make and think I'll just be okay with that. Sorry, where's Arbiter? Where's Locke? His like Osiris, Blue Team, Lasky. Why is the how did the Infinity and its entire armada of ships get bodied so easily? Like, really? How did Atriox get on board the Infinity and just walk his way through the ship like it was nothing? Are you telling me those Spartan 4s were as much pansies as I thought they were? Because that's certainly what it implied to me. Like, come on. You're seriously telling me that humanity hasn't advanced enough that they can actually put up a fight against Covenant ships now? After having an alliance with the elites and actually updating all their stuff? Like, come on.
It's just it felt like
Everything felt bad, man.
it just I will say it does feel like it was just an attempt to wipe the slate clean and start over. But I will say it does feel like a bad time to do something like that.
Like, I feel so unsatisfied right now when it comes to Halo because, like, I played Halo 4, it had a good start to a setup. Okay, we get to Halo 5. Okay, this storyline seems really cool. It actually follows with the story of 4 decently well. And then they fucked it up. We get to Halo Infinite, and I'm like, well, they gotta fix this somehow. And they're just like, okay, we're gonna sweep all of it under the rug and just, it's all away. It's gone. It's not our problem anymore. I'm like, no. You can't just do that and make this weird side story that's really minor, then kill Cortana after she apparently blew up the Brute's homeworld and Atriox apparently killed her. It's like, what? Excuse you? And then we have new Tana, who is literally just Cortana, but like more naive, I guess. But apparently has all her old data and like a little data cache she was gifted at the end of the game. And then we have like this new enemy. What was it called? The Harbinger and like the Swarm or something? I don't remember what they're called. Do you? I don't know. With all of that shit in Infinite, like I want to throw it in bad. I want to throw it almost like I can't even say if it's better or worse than Halo 5 right now.
I definitely think it's better than Halo 5.
Like I won't deny like it's better, I guess, than Halo 5. Whatever, I'll throw it in okay. I don't even want to argue with it at this point. Like if you cut off the game, right? Like because there's the campaign and then there's the multiplayer. The campaign is fine. I really hate with the story that they just threw everything away, and I don't think I can hate Infinite because of that. It's not the game's fault, so to speak. It's 343's fault. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to justify it in my head. I don't know. The multiplayer was a complete shit show for me. I played console. He played more PC than I did. The hit registration took months to fix, and it's last I heard, it's still not completely fixed. Ranked was a joke. There's a reason the game has a minor player base. Like let's just look at Steam charts real quick for Infinite, just for reference. Halo. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. So its all-time peak was 256,000 people forever ago, right? It's currently sitting at about 4,000, which yeah, it's just been getting lower and lower over time. Tells me that the game is not doing super hot, and people are reflecting that view. It's not great. They went to the free to play model. It just didn't work, and the multiplayer was just it was a sham. They finally fixed it. Forge is finally in the game like a year and a half later after they delayed the game for a year to begin with. Like, I don't know. Overall, it's better than Halo 5 because it doesn't do a lot of like the really scummy microtransactions, but instead they just like
Well, and
$30 for armor.
they're getting there again.
Yeah, if last I heard, it's getting worse. I haven't touched the game in like well over a year. I have no interest in touching the game again because they've lost my trust. So we'll see. I'll concede it to being an okay because it is better than Halo 5. So at least that way we can have something in it. Let's move on to two games that I like better. Because that one just made me angry. The last two both did. Halo Wars. I actually don't know where I want to put this. I really like Halo Wars. I it's weird because like I really like Halo Wars. I do. But it's hard to judge it against the other Halo games because it's a strategy game. It's not a shooter, you know? So it's in its own weird echelon of it. I really liked Halo Wars. I had a lot of fun with it. It's one of the first games I ever sat down and got every achievement for, or trophy if you're a PlayStation player. Game achievement. It's the same thing, basically. And I sat down and got every single achievement for Halo Wars, beat the entire game. I loved it. I loved the story with Forge. No one can convince me the cutscene where we see like Red Team just dominate all those elites. That was badass as hell.
I mean,
Amazing.
for me, the reason why like it's top of the line is like when you think of like a Halo side game, it's like one of the first games you think of.
Where there's not much room for it to be debate. It's basically the only side game if you think about it.
Fuck your semantics.
Well, look, it's like it's either that or arcade games. Nobody knows those hardly. Hell, I barely knew about them until like a few months ago. So, like, what other side game is there other than ODST? And some people don't even consider that a side game. That's how much some people love it. I don't know, but I get what you mean. It's the only real side game that matters, I guess. The first Halo Wars was a blast. It definitely had a lot of issues. I won't deny it. It was a console strategy game, and with that comes a lot of the issues of being on console. A lot more limited in its options, but with what they had, they did an amazing job, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun playing it. The leader system was really
We
cool.
definitely had a bunch of fun playing because I can't remember how many hours we had on that game.
Caleb, I got all the achievements on 360 and then on Xbox One when they made a remaster of it. I got all the achievements on that one too. So yeah, to say the least, I played the living hell out of that game and I love it, but it's weird for me to try and scale it against the other ones. So, you know what? Yeah, let's throw it on top of the line. I love this game. I'm putting it below ODST and CE. I don't think it's fair to put it above those.
By saying I didn't really play enough Halo Wars 2 to have an opinion of it, but I will say I didn't like it as much as I did the first one.
Where would you put it before I say anything?
Hmm.
Is it on the same level as Halo 4, Infinite, 5?
For me, it's good. It's just it didn't capture the same magic that the first game
So,
did.
I'm going to lay out some opinions, and I'm going to do it in the same way I did with Infinite. It's not going to be as angry, mind you. Um, if I was judging Halo Wars 2 on purely campaign, I'd be putting it in top of the line. The campaign was really well made. I loved it. Made a lot of sense with the storyline. It did a really good way of introducing the Banished. Even though I have a lot of questionable doubt about how Atriox, just some random experienced brute, could really fight 3 Spartans single-handedly. Sorry, I don't believe that. I feel like he would have gotten bodied. But whatever, they had to make him scary somehow, I guess. I do like his background, though, besides that cutscene. The fact that he was a force of reckoning against the Covenant in a long-term way. So while humanity was fighting the Covenant, so were the Banished. But there's a lot of continuity errors with that for me that personally pissed me off.
I personally felt like it invalidated a lot of humanity's struggle
I
throughout the
agree.
war.
That's why I had a lot of problems with it, because it implies the Covenant was trying to fight a two-front war, and the Banished were a much bigger deal than humanity. And that was the only reason humanity could win is because the Covenant had to fight on two fronts. Sorry, I don't believe you. It's more like they were a small rebellious force that only got stronger as the Covenant got weaker after the Great Schism happened. What's more likely, if you ask me. But I do
Like if
like
you
the
want to go like
concept.
so as far like even like have them just like as a form of like a proto storm covenant or something.
Like, I don't mind the idea that they rebelled, and I don't mind the idea that they're like their own little like heretic faction that did really well. That's fine. But this whole build up, like, oh, they were the like, well, humanity almost got wiped out during the war. They never even came close with the Banish. It's like, yeah, I mean, cool, but they also probably weren't the main threat. The prophets were dead focused on humanity and wanted them annihilated, or it would completely invalidate the covenant. They knew it. I don't like the idea that you're invalidating the entire previous games to make a villain. I hate it when games do that, and I hate it when movies do it. It's not okay here. It's never okay. But as a villain, I don't mind Atriox. I like that it's a really clever brute, so he kind of subverts expectations. He's really strong, but actually intelligent. I like the idea that he's really battling with Cutter during the entire campaign of Halo Wars 2, even though it kind of makes Atriox look like a really bad commander, considering a half staffed, very out of date supply ship is beating a advanced, surviving, and thriving Covenant like rebel group.
Yeah.
Sorry, that makes him look like a punk bitch. Like, I really can't be convinced otherwise. Like, and I don't know if that's really a diss on the Banished or if it's a really big highlight for Cutter and his people, because I mean they're badasses. I can't deny that with Cutter. They did some really
It's
cool
just
shit.
for me, it's another thing to like highlight some like a lot of the problem when it comes to 343 and that we never like they never really like explain like what's the banish's motive? Like what's Atriox's motive?
That's yeah, that's one of the biggest problems of it is like, why is he even fighting humanity? Like, what's his problem with humanity in the first place?
Because like in recent lore, they have it toward now. There's like it's not even like a thing he has like against humanity because now there's banished Spartans, like Spartans who've defected to join the banished.
Which makes no fucking sense. Like, I don't even when did they do that? I didn't even know. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
and
Back
it's
up for
been
a sec. When the fuck did this happen?
in some of the recent novels and stuff, like during the events of like around the time of Halo Infinite.
Why? That's not even how Spartans work.
Well, supposedly it's Spartan Force and a bunch of stuff like that.
So a bunch of whatever. I don't want to hear anymore. It's gonna piss me off again. I don't want to know. That just pisses me off, and it's stupid as a concept altogether. Like, my brain hurts from even hearing that. Why did you even bring that up?
You know, because I knew it would get a reaction.
So you're telling me that some random Spartan 4 is like, I trained in the military really hard and I earned my position as Spartan 4, and now I'm going to betray humanity to work with the alien assholes who are just like the Covenant and want us all dead because what? What's their reasoning?
Well, it's because like they went mercenary.
No, that makes no sense. That's not how Spartans work. You're defacing the entire point of a fucking Spartan by doing that. God damn it.
You're welcome, buddy.
I hate you. And I hate 343. God damn it. Makes my head hurt even
And
thinking about this.
that's the reason why like a lot of like the recent lore, I just don't pay attention to it anymore.
I'm so glad I don't, because I would be so angry all the fucking time. What the hell, man? Like, the Flood Spartan thing was kind of cool. Terrifying, but it was cool. Then you tell me this shit, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, to me, like a lot of like what it feels like is just like they've so something that they did that I do kind of think is neat is for Halo Infinite they came up with something called fractures, which is
Okay.
like pretty much like looking like alternate timelines, like basically what if scenarios.
So it's not
And
canon?
no, unfortunately, no.
We mean unfortunately, like the fucking mercenary Spartans aren't canon. That's a good
Those are
thing.
canon. Those are canon.
The fuck?
Basically, what I'm trying to get into is like for like the Tenrai armor. It's a fracture armor, so it's like a what if. Well, with a lot of the more recent armor stuff they're doing, like with banished theme armor, instead of making it a what if like a fracture, it's literally like they have just like justify having like banished theme armor for your Spartan. They've made banished Spartans a thing.
That's retarded. No, I can tell you how they could have fixed that little problem because guess what? In Halo 4, you're going to love this. 343 did this shit already where they had themed armor from different factions. There was a set of armor that was created using elites and humans working together on a space station.
Oh yeah, they brought that back.
Yeah, because it makes sense. The same concept can be applied with the brutes. I find it more believable that brutes would be against the banished than Spartans being with them. At least the brutes defecting or just like saying "fuck this is retarded" makes way more sense. Like, come
Well, like
on.
they had like in the comics, like around the time of like 4 and 5, they had like a new like chieftain of the brutes who was like in talks with the UNSC. I don't remember what they did with it. I have
I
to look.
don't know.
Up.
I'm just hearing this shit with the banished Spartans, and it makes me mad. It
Oh,
just makes me angry to even think about. Whatever. We're getting super super off topic. Halo Wars 2. I honestly want to put it in either the top of good above Halo 4 or just below top of the line on below the original Halo Wars because getting into the multiplayer of it. Also, I think Sam just arrived, isn't it?
yes.
What about
But we're doing a tier list for Halo. We're on Halo Wars 2. Would you like to join in?
my brother in Christ? I am not a good judgment on this.
You're like the only other person I know who played a lot of it besides me. So you kind of are.
Halo Wars 2. Okay, I'm done.
You'd put it in okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna put it in top of the line below the first one.
Why?
So you just missed like the last 30 minutes of us talking about it.
Nah. Look, they lost me when they added some pay-to-win bullshit game mode. They can lick my
I was
fucking
just about to talk
nuts.
about the multiplayer, so
That
you
if
joined
it
at a
weren't for
perfect
that,
time, man.
I would probably put it at top of the line too. But
Okay,
that knocks it all the
so
way down.
I
Okay.
separated things between campaign and multiplayer when I was talking about. We just got done talking about the campaign. Caleb told me about something I'm really angry about. We're gonna leave that alone. Multiplayer against bots, it's a great time. Against other people, it can be fun until you get in the fact that there's pay to win characters. Something Caleb didn't get to experience much of because he didn't play. And yes, there are multiple characters, and most of them cost like $8 on average, I think. And there's some that are tied to DLCs. Some of them very obviously have a bias in power. Some of them are much better than other ones. Jerome is absurdly powerful. I cannot be convinced otherwise.
Are y'all doing a video right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the tier list video. Welcome. Like I said, we're on the last one. You joined right at the end for Halo Wars 2, probably the only other one you're qualified to talk about.
I'm qualified for everything before Halo 5.
I mean, hey, if you, I'm screen sharing it on Discord. If you want to look where we're at right now, give your opinion,
I
be my
was.
guest.
I was looking at it.
But,
Indubitably.
yeah, no, I didn't dis. If we're only talking about story with Halo Wars 2, I loved all the story, even the DLC. Awakening to Nightmare was cool as hell. Playing as the Covenant against the Flood, that was cool as fuck. Uh, the ODST campaign was very short and kind of felt lackluster for what you pay for, but it was still fun. I didn't hate it. But yeah, no, sorry, Blitz. It's a pay to win game mode. It's ass. Either that or you know life.
And that is exactly why my opinion of that game is so low. Were it not for that, it would be exactly where you said it was.
What about you, Caleb? You didn't really give much of a positioning for it.
For what?
Halo Wars 2.
I'd say simply because I didn't care for like how like the strategy like it felt more like it felt less like it had like I'm trying to. It felt more competitive. Like Halo Wars One didn't feel like that competitive of a game because like a lot of the stuff we did when we played around was just
Warthog
like,
Rush. Warthog Rush.
well, yeah, that. Like for me, it felt like they nerfed a lot of like that for Halo Wars 2, to where like the fun aspect of it, where you could just do random bullshit like that. Like, yeah, you could still do it, but it felt like it was more like esportsy to me.
Yeah, I could kind of see what you mean by that. It does have a bit of the problem of all of that, where it felt like they added different resources you have to manage. So you have to manage actual like supplies and then power, which added two different buildings you had to manage for all that. They dumbed down a lot of the research sides of things and made it a lot less entertaining or fun. And sorry, I have a very hard time agreeing with the concept of certain units can't attack other units. You cannot convince me that the guy with a sniper rifle isn't going to shoot a vehicle or an air unit. You do that all the time in the game. That thing is made to take out large aliens or vehicles. And you're telling me that like this random sniper guy just refuses? Like, come on. It's an anti-material rifle, basically. But either way, where would you put it? Sam thinks in okay. I'm still partial to putting it just below Halo, the first Halo Wars.
I'm in agreement with Sam.
Then I will put it down there then because it's a vote. Now, would you put it above or below Infinite? I'd put it above Infinite.
Oh, I'd definitely put it above Infinite.
It's way
I
more
can't
fun than
have an
Infinite.
opinion on that.
It was just as bad as Halo 5. That's all you need to know.
It was better than Halo 5, just not that great in the grand scheme of things.
Uh, I'm gonna just do this. Hey Sam, you looking at the screen share?
Not at the moment.
Oh god, so much
on.
fucking therapy.
This right here is what a brute looks
That's
like.
terrible.
That's a brute in Halo Infinite, or they delayed
Are
it.
you serious?
Besides the ears, this is a meme, of course. There you go. That's the actual look. That's a brute. Before they delayed the game for a year,
That's just ass, bro.
and then they updated
They
it.
weren't even
So
fucking
yeah, here's the
trying.
before and after.
Dude, you go from like Halo 2 graphics to actual
I
like
know.
modern graphics.
So that's all you
That's
really need to
ass.
know, if it makes sense. So, but yeah, you see why some of these are the places they are. It's great. But yeah, I think this is a good finalized point for the thing. I don't know if you guys would change anything looking at it. I'm pretty content with everything here. I don't think anything needs to be moved around. What do you think, Caleb? Is good enough for you?
We tab up. Yeah, I'd agree with it.
You wouldn't move any of them given the option?
No, I'm perfectly fine where everything is.
I think the only things that I would probably change myself if it was just me doing it, most of these are in the places I would probably do. I'd probably put ODST in good personally above Halo 4, but that's just me. I liked Halo Wars better. But again, that's just me. Halo Wars 2, I'd probably put in good above Halo 4 because I did like Halo Wars 2 despite its flaws. The rest of these are all fine though. Especially Halo 5. I almost want to, you know what? How do I add a fucking tier?
Very carefully.
It's my objectives I gotta do.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh, I actually gotta arrest people. Shit.
Perfect. I fixed it. But yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this chaotic breakdown of all the different Halo games and the moment of me ranting, and then Caleb flashbanging me with the concept of Spartans joining the Banished. Makes no damn sense. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Toodles.